America, this is our land. 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 America, this our land. America, Negro land. America, this our land. America, Negro land. No African American. No. I'm the first true American. Ooh, yeah. No African American. No. I'm the first true American. Ooh, yeah.
Y'all don't understand. This land that you stand on, that you think is America, this is actually Africa. The dear Mississippi that you love, that you know of, that's the Nile River. This is our land. You are Aboriginal Indigenous American. You are a Moorish American. So where is their green card? Where is their green card? Huh? They need weapons. We don't need no weapons. Huh? Stop calling us black. We're not African American. We're Moorish American. Aboriginal or Indigenous.
It's all right over there.
Know the laws of the land. Know your birthright and nationality. You are a Moorish American. Fight for your nationality. The Pope says stand up. The Pope says stand up. The Pope says stand up. Know the land. Know the laws of the land. You are an Aboriginal Indigenous American.
Moorish Americans are indigenous to America.
The conversation's stopping.
In 2010, President Obama signed on to the rights of indigenous.
Did you know that George Washington said the following? If we would agree to take the fezzes and the turbans off the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce it with severe punishment, and to also swear a death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not to allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or who their forefathers were, to only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they are truly Negroes, black people, and color folks. 200 years from today, the Moorish people would not know their nationality nor the national name of their forefathers. Also, they would not know from which land or ancestors that they are descended from.
Right. So we go into this, look. Moor, meaning black, right?
Right.
That's not, let me read the whole thing. It says Moor, North African Berber, one dwelling in Berberry, late 14th century. From Old French, Moor, right? Look how Moor stuff. Right? This is from medieval Latin, Moros, right? Look how Moros spelled, right? This is from Latin, Moros, right? Amaru. All of this shit is Amaru, all of it. Inhabitant of Moro, right? Mauritania. Moro means black or dark-skinned people, and Tania means land, right? Then it goes down right here from Greek. So even the Greek calling them the Moros, right? Right? Then say perhaps a native name or else cognate with Moros, meaning black, right? It said, but an adjective only appears in late Greek and may as well be from a people named in reverse, meaning the Romans, right? You take Rom. They added the E to it. It was Rom, though, originally, right? ROM, right? Reverse. So it say applied to Arab conquerors, right? Now, when they telling you all this shit, all of these are different timelines where these people was at. But see, what they don't do is they don't tell you that these people, what they call the Moors, was also the Olmecs, also the Moorish. Muskoki, what they call the Algonquins, what they call the Iroquois, all of them, right? Because this is the ultimate meaning of what the word Moor means, right here, right? It said being a dark person in relations to Europeans. Now, when it said, look, it said being a dark person in relations to Europeans, their name in the Middle Age was a synonym for Negro. Now, look, is it giving the dark people in relations to Europeans a destination of what continent that they came from? For people that's on the chat room or people that's on the panel. I'm asking y'all that.
See, that's what I just said. I already.
Where you at here, man?
I'm right here. That's what I just said, man.
So look.
Yeah.
So look, hey, Peer Map, look. Being a dark people in relations to Europeans. Their name in the Middle Age was a synonym for Negro. Now look, check this out. You got Negroes in the South Pacific Islands. You got Negroes in Australia. You got Negroes in Africa. You got Negroes in Asia. You got Negroes in America. Is it specifying what a Moor is?
Right.
You know, it seems like Moor is just it talked about, of course, it talked about all people of dark hue around the world, but it specifically targets towards like pretty much Americans because the way the word's set up, like a Maori, America, it's just how the vowels interchangeable like that. I always kind of thought.
But,
check this out, right? Look, check this out. Just to show you that I'm not motherfucking crazy, right? So look. Now let's look up Negro. My bad. Now let's look up Negro, right? It's going to say a member of a black skin race of Africa, which we just looked in the term Moor. It says that a Moor is any dark skin complexion person. It didn't give them no destinations. It didn't say it was a synonym for Negro. So a Negro is just not a member of the black skin race of Africa. Can we agree on that?
Right.
But we can go down right here, right? Check this out. It says, look, this is the Negro right here, right? Well, I'm going to go on this part right here. It's a meaning, African American vernacular, right? Which they say we call each other Negroes. The English language as spoken by U.S. blacks is from 1704 French, Nigar, which I told you Nigar go back in the Sumerian text, brother, meaning copper color rustic people, meaning those that came out of the water and walked on land. And they became rustic and became brown once the air hit them. Do we not understand this? When the air hit metal, it turned rust, right? Rustic, right? Rustic is a synonym for what is copper color. When the water exceeded the lands and we was aquatic beings, once the land exceeded certain lands and the earth talked to us and told us that, okay, this land is available for us to walk on, we came out the ocean and walked on the land. When the air hit our skin, we became rustic, meaning in Sumerian is copper color for Nigar, meaning Negro. Now, cross-reference, right? So, meaning African American vernacular, the English language as spoken by U.S. blacks. It's from 1704. French Nigar, which I told you, Nigar, which go back to something else, but we'll get into that another time, right? Is from 16th century, borrowing from the Spanish Negro, right? older English. Now listen, look. So the Spanish wasn't the first to call people Moors because it's telling you borrowing from the Spanish Negro, right? But then it says period. Then it says older English words was Moor and Blackamoor. Do we not understand that? So that goes back into whether you a Cherokee, Nassau Garrett, all, and like I said, the black and the white devil. Don't get the fucking stories mixed up. You got niggas right now who will do some horrendous shit to their own people. Some medieval savagery. But they still will be niggas and they still will be Indians, right? I'm still live or what's going on? Maybe I might be in the alternate.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hey, yeah, sorry about that, brother. I was just listening, just kind of thinking about what you were saying, and like how it comes to it. All of it pretty much to me is just, it just seems like just titles, but it's our titles. Like, you know, when it comes to more,
the term Moor is not no term. See, when they putting that on people nowadays, they doing that as an act of nobility. They doing it being sarcastic because you don't know what it means. They telling you exactly what where the term come. The term come from the term Amaru. I don't care what more you can go get, whatever more you want to go get to debate Ahano Kiel on that. Ahano Kiel will tell you exactly. It comes from the term Moru. That's where it comes from. The original people from here went over to, so we went over to the Iberian Peninsula while the Moors was there and just took over? Or are we them people?
I say we are the people. Because like you said, I say we are because the story, like how you, if you get the books on how the Moors in Spain or any type of book that has to do with the Moors in Spain or Europe, it always say they came from a place. They always add the bull, like they pretty much add that bullshit as in all the Moors came from Africa, they came into Spain and cultivated, which makes no sense.
Now watch this. Look, now watch this. The expert is a professor, which I can play the video if I choose to, but I might not want to, right? But it's a professor that tells you that the most advanced, the Moors, right? The most advanced, the most technological advance of the Moors was in North Africa. They say you can't find this science nowhere beyond the sub-Sahara because they didn't have it. So where the fuck they got it from? That's why we look at the buildings. That's why we look at exactly. Go ahead, brother.
Oh my bad. Yeah, but they got it from here because when you look at the history, when you look to like we all said, like you said, how the Olmecs, the Aztecs, how they created the number 0 to 9, how they pretty much created math. And if you look at the word algebra, Al, which is Islam for God, it's the same thing. Al, which is just an Islamic word, algebra. It's pretty much common that all that mathematics and science, it didn't come from Africa, it came from America, because when you look up the history of mathematics and science, it's coming from over here. It just spread throughout the world. We really don't know.
Hey, look, check this out, though. Do you know what type of mathematical expressions they had to use to decipher the Mayan calendar? One of them was algebra, right?
Right.
Now look, PMF, you still on the panel?
I'm right here listening.
What is the name of that image that's in the center of the Mayan calendar?
You're talking about the central mirror, who we knowing.
Who we know?
Who we know. No, how you pronounce it? Who we Olin. That's what it's called. It's actually a central mirror, which is the center part of a cell or the DNA. Y'all can look that up. Look up the word central mirror. It's the same thing as Nahui Olin.
Now, what state is named after that?
New Orleans, right. And they actually got the same symbolism, right?
And the New Orleans Indians, they got the same costume that New Orleans got on. Listen, when you look at the image of New Orleans in the center of the Mayan calendar, only thing you can see is a broken nose. But everything else you can see is what the New Orleans Indians be wearing in their ceremonies.
Yup, the Mardi Gras Indians. Yup, you got them.
Same shit, nigga. Crescent City. Crescent City. See, niggas that come up here, oh, my people didn't tell me. Your people ain't tell you was gods neither, so don't be a god. Right. Be an Indian. Your people ain't say we was gods deep, and it runs deep throughout the soil of this land. It's not running deep coming from nowhere else. It's coming directly from here. And if you connect yourself back to that, that'll be a plus.
I ain't even gonna lie, you know, for a lot of the Indian groups and other, you know, more hater groups, I've actually found peace treaties of more tribes or more nations. I haven't presented it, and I also got a video that talk about the Aboriginal Moors wearing turbans and fezzes. A lot of people,
brother, the Cherokee, look, the Cherokee and the Cherokee all the way to the Natchez wore fucking turbans, brother. Ain't none of these tribes wear none of these fucking feather crowns, bro. I studied it. I've been studying this shit years ago.
Right, years ago, and they acting naive. Now, let me say this, and I ain't trying to bust no bubble, because I am about to come at Indian. I am going to challenge Indian, because everybody give me my respect besides Diane Calloway. So I want to say this about Aboriginal. For a lot of people out there, I am Aboriginal, but you got to know your stuff. Listen to me. The definition of American, it clearly says various copper-colored races with an S. So that's more than one race. You would have to sit up there, Indian, and tell us what race you are. And I'm about to come at y'all and make y'all answer this, because y'all still pushing this more hate. So what one of them races are y'all? Because that's more than one Aboriginal. And y'all have not let us know yet who y'all are. So I wanted to make that statement. Y'all gonna have to answer to that American definition real soon.
But the term America is actually means more.
It does, but the Indian saying more is not from here. Now, since it means various copper colored races with an S, you still got to specify which race are you. You can't claim a definition if you don't even know how to interpret it.
But your race would be where you sprung from the soil.
Yeah, that's true, but they're not even specifying that. They're not specifying it.
No, I mean, you got to get them, you know, PMF, brother.
Yeah, I'm working with them, but they more hating.
Shit right here, look, listen, this shit right here, I'm telling you, and I tell a lot of people, whether you agree or disagree with me, by me studying the Moors, I've been fast tracked. I didn't have to go through a lot of this shit that these people don't understand. Right. I went straight to the buildings, straight to the technology, straight to the science, and applied that to the Cherokee, the Nassagaret, the Wapanaki, the motherfucking Shinnecock, the Montauk, the fucking Delawares, all of these tribes, all of them. I was able to apply that to all of them without crossing the people where I got the knowledge from. Because most of my knowledge come from Moors. And you don't never hear me really talk about Moorish science and none of that shit. And I don't mean shit, but you don't never really hear me talking about that. The science of the Moors is the science of the Amaru. The science of the Amaru is the science of the Maya, the Olmec. Them is the sciences. The Yamasi, the Temucoans, the Casalas, the Adiyawiyas. This is the science that we all exhibit. That's why when we go in the American Indian Encyclopedia, we show you which tribes and what area and what place that this so-called science came from. And you will see in a lot of different cases, it came from numerous different parts because this is the science that we always using. And that science is the science that we see in London, in Portugal, in Spain, in Morocco, in Barbary, in the Iberian Peninsula. That is our science. But I'm going to play a little bit more Michelle Gibson joint, bro. Let me play some more of this right here, man.
Liberty, said to be a figure of Libertas, a Roman goddess and the personification of liberty all over the earth. Are they replicas, or do they represent something else entirely?
What we have here, they took everything from America. Look at the Statue of Liberty. This is from the Mayan temple of Shak Ik. They took this and made this into the Statue of Liberty. It's always been ours. And everybody who has a copy of this Statue of Liberty is really celebrating the conqueror of the Mayans or the Americans. Because everybody who had this in their land has their hand in America. Pay attention, this is our stuff. The Statue of Liberty belongs to us. This is an Aboriginal. Look at the afro. You can look at it. Let's take a close look. Look. It's an afro. And they have the crown sticking out of it. You can tell this is a Negro. And he has the jaguar print. He has the jaguar print. He's rocking pearls. This guy right here, he jeweled up. Yeah. He's ours.
Let's go and check this out. Race War of 1912 in Cuba. The Muur Law. Wow. What's going on? Need I say any more? I don't even, it just comes naturally. The research just comes naturally. It's like it's right there for you. The Muur Law. They got the Moor Law. Look, they even got the picture kicking the heads of the brothers. Kicking their heads, the Moor Law. See, you know, they're going to play the games up here in the U.S., but nothing is getting past me. We already know that. You know they're not going to get past me. Let's go back. How you like that, though, about the Muur Law? You know, the so-called Afro-Cubans getting, beat up for being Moors. It would not allow independents to run a candidate for president. The Muur Law, come on, man. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go and find some more information. I've been wanting to research on this right here. The Navajo Legion and Joseph Smith and the Mormons tracking these pilgrim people. The so-called Black Pilgrim, Blackamoor. So, I might get into that. I've been said I wanted to get into the Mormon. But this is right here. The people who is attacking, they're going to go out here hunting for Moors and hunting Turks. Right here in America, these legions right here, it's called the Mormon Battalion. And they're mocking us, and, really reversing history. But anyway, let's go. Let's go and find something significant to remind people. Okay, here's another clue. We got the legend of the Khan and the Paracas. And remember, this symbolism right here is found in other Muslim and Turk countries. Remember that. These same geoglyphs. So we do have the Khan in America. The understanding of the Khan. That's another little gem. Let's go. Okay, remember this. The Guardia Mora is probably deeper than we know, especially, knowing with San Francisco. I can just imagine the Mora Guard was protecting San Francisco. And Francisco Franco is just probably one of the lasting relatives of the great marriages of back in the day. you know, the guardian Mora. Alright. Just giving it out, giving the information out. Till we find something. Okay, let's go up in here right quick. Let's see what the people talking about in the chat. I don't want to lose you. Because, you know, I'm going to prove a point before I end the video. I'm just warming you up. The Zagwe Kings, who I suspect is maybe the Western Garden of Eden Kings, they went up in Ethiopia, breaking up, you know, them people over there in the 11th and 12th centuries. And I always like to highlight, because I use the Bible geography maps when we dealing with this King Solomon and Queen of Sheba, the Ark of the Covenant. We must remember also, because I like to highlight Moor a lot. Moor and Moorish, Moorland, Muurutania, Moroccan, American. Right. Okay, let me see. Right here, it says it easy. You can see it. The Zagwe or Jaguar King, who was a so-called foreigner, is called the Moor. And remember, we have the Moor law in Cuba. He presented himself as the son of Murara, Muray, the king of Moors. And we know that we have Moors in the scriptural maps series right here. It's right here. We can easily go and find it. I don't have to keep proving my point, but to highlight it that we know, we can go right into what they're using, the Europeans, to verify that, you know, these Moors do exist. And if the Bible was quoting this stuff, you better believe that they know it, especially with the fact that Mason mean Moor anyway. We already know they're tricking us because Mason mean Moor. Right here, let's zoom it in. Mohammedans, right here, the dice, people of Arabia and other Mohammedans own subjects as Segwe, Negus, Abyssins, or Moors. So the Bible, the chief researchers on the Bible is telling you Moors exist. It's not a blacks. It's a particular people. It's not a blacks. That's a waste of time listening to petty researchers. Right? I'm showing you in a certain Murara was the Jaguar Kings. It's in here. It's in the book. Even the Negus. So it's nothing wrong with calling yourself niggas. It's nothing wrong with calling yourself niggas. It's a habit of yours. You just forgot to call yourself Moors. Right?
It says, all the way back on January 3rd, 1845, in regards to the annexation of Texas, the stupendous deserts of the Nueces and the Bravo rivers are the natural boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races. When have you ever heard them refer to Mauritanian races, meaning groups of different types of Moors, Mauritanians, which is a Latin term. That's a Latin word. It's not English. That's Old Latin. So when we talk about Mauritania over there, Mauritius over there, find out when they were founded. The Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races, there ends the Valley of the West, There Mexico begins. Thence the Bravo begin. The Moorish people and their Indian associates, ... to whom Mexico properly belongs. Mexico meaning all of the land. Okay, so that means then 150 years before that, all of this land over here was a part of the United States, the Societas Republicae y los Mooricanos Estados. The Mooricanos is where we get the Mauritanian from because it's all Latin. And the only people that were speaking Latin over here was us. And all of the so-called Mauritanian Moorish peoples were already over here looking like this. So we already proved who the Americans are. You see that? You see, and their Indian associates, which means the Indians were at the bottom. The people referring to themselves as Indians. See what I'm saying? If I have a law firm, and the law firm is Hancock and Associates, who do the associates work for? This is why Jackson broke all the treaties, because they had no direct jurisdiction over the land to treat it.
That's why when you look on the back of the dollar bill, you see there's two seals here. This is the only nation with a two-sided seal. This seal you see here with the pyramid is the seal of our ancestors and our federal government that we had set up in here in this hemisphere going way back. This is the seal of the 6 European tribes that we allowed to set up here. That is why above our seal says Annuit Coeptus. He had favored our undertaking. I mean, it was our federal government here that was already established, what they call Iroquois Confederacy, so on and so forth, was already established, that taught them the science of government and allowed them to set up here. And here you see this flag has 6 white stripes and 7 red. And the elders taught us that those 6 white stripes stands for the British, the Irish, the Scottish, the French, the Dutch, and the German. The 6 European tribes that we allowed to set up here. And all they had initially was the eastern seaboard. The rest was ours. The elders also taught us some things. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but do the research and you're going to be surprised at what you find. The elders told us that the original now was here. Old man Mississippi. The Missouri being the blue and the Ohio being the white. Until this day, where them two come together, there's a city there called Cairo to this day. And that area is called Little Egypt. Then you go down into what the elders taught us with Alabama, so on and so forth, being Lower Egypt. Then you get into Memphis, Tennessee, the Memphite theology. Kentucky, King Tut. And then you start to look a little further, and then you find out that there was an archaeological cover-up involving the Smithsonian Institute, where they found thousands and thousands of artifacts. They found artifacts showing human beings contemporary with dinosaurs. A lot of this information they put on ships and dumped into the Atlantic Ocean. Some of it they got still in hidden chambers that they say you can't go in there because it got asbestos and it's unsafe. There's a part of the Grand Canyon where they have all Egyptian names, Tet, Osiris, Isis, and they got that part blocked off. They said it's too dangerous for the people to go there. To this day, this exists.
Americans are not Indians. Part 7. You ready? Let's go. Book reference. America. From Amerigo Vespucci, a Florentine who pretended to have first discovered the Western continent. What? Hold up. Run that back. Amerigo Vespucci pretended to have first discovered the Western continent? Did we learn about that in school? No, sir. Uh-oh. Book reference. At the time of the founding of this country, America was called Al-Morican because it was part of the Moroccan Empire, known as Amexem. It was transliterated into America by the colonists, and eventually a story was made up that America was named after Amerigo Vespucci. Wow. This is getting good. We now realize that there was a significant motive to hide the history of what had transpired. Now watch this. Book reference. American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Pause. So the 1828 definition of an American originally applied to the Aboriginals, or various copper-complexion peoples, found here by the Europeans, which means we was already here. Now hold that thought. Book reference. It is also important to note that the words Muslim, Saracen, Turk, Moor, Muslim, Phoenician, Olmec, Indian, Black, Ottoman, Arab, and others were used to identify Moors. Although words such as Indian and Black are derogatory, Somebody might say, I'm an American Indian, or I'm a Native American. So how is that derogatory? The name of a people must connect them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. Dr. John Henry Clark. Facts. So when you claim to be an Indian, you're in violation of law. Let me show you. United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, recognizing the urgent need to respect and promote the inherent rights of indigenous peoples, which derive from their political, especially their rights to their lands, territories, and resources. What? Lands, territories, and resources. So when you say you Indian, Black, African American, or a person of color, you abandon your birthrights and constitutional protection. What does abandon mean in law? Book reference. Abandon. To desert, surrender, forsake. To relinquish. Never again resuming one's right or interests. People have been tricked to claim dishonorable terms as if they were honorable. Book reference. What does a tribe mean? A group of persons, families, or clans believed to be descendant from a common ancestor. Did you hear that? A common ancestor. Consanguinity, kinship, blood relationship, descended from the same stock, or common ancestor. Inherit means to take by inheritance. Nationality corrects your political status, and your nationality is inherited to you by jus sanguinis, by bloodline, given to you by your mother. All tribes are under the nation, Morocco. Wait for part 8.
The first nation to recognize my country was Morocco.
No country has been a friend of the United States longer than Morocco. You were the first nation to recognize us back in 1777.
10 years later, our two countries approved a treaty of peace and friendship, which today remains the longest unbroken treaty of its kind in all history.
Led to the first annual convention held October 15th through the 20th, 1928 in Chicago, Illinois. And whereas the Moorish Americans, being an aboriginal to the territories of North, Central, and South Americas, have formed a sovereign, theocratic government guided by principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through the virtue of the universal right to self-determination, as well as with the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People guaranteed in the Charter. Now, therefore, I, Victoria R. Woodards, Mayor of the City of Tacoma, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 15th through the 20th, 2022, as Moorish American Convention Week in the City of Tacoma, and commend the Moorish Americans of Palouse on their rich and manifold contributions to the history and culture of this state, and that we honor Moorish Americans. Please join me in a round of applause. Would you like to make a few?
If you want to do some real lawful research on history of the Moors, it's going to lead you down a rabbit hole, but watch this. Go on to congress.gov, right? Congress.gov, and type in the word Moorish. Now, before you do that, make sure you change this to all Congresses and then search, right? And it's going to bring you up every single document that Congress has regarding Moorish history. Every single document. And you know what I found interesting? Here's a little short dissertation about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right? And it also mentions George Washington's letter, right? This document right here talks about Delaware. Look at this. Look at this. 80th anniversary of the founding of the city of Opelika, Florida. Congressional Record, volume 152, number 63. Watch this, what it say. Watch this shit, what it say. Look at this. Opelika today maintains the largest collection of Moorish architecture in the Western Hemisphere, and 20 sites are listed on the National Register of the Historic Places. Now, wait a second. Why in the fuck would there be Moorish architecture in Opelika, in Florida? All right, let's come back to this document. Look at this. Honoring Dr. Ben Yosef? Dr. Yosef Ben? Why would they be honoring Dr. Yosef Ben regarding a pioneer of so-called black history? Why would they be doing that? Huh? Why would the U.S. be doing that? Look at this. Educated in Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Spain. Why would he be educated in Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Spain? Dr. Ben, as he is affectionately called, is a true scholar, earning doctoral degrees in cultural anthropology and Moorish history. But wait a second. He learned that in Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Spain? Ooh, now check this one out, right? Crazy, right? Select provisions of the 1866 Reconstruction Treaties between the United States and Oklahoma. I'm going to scroll down. Watch this. Dear Senate Committee, as an American Indian and child bearer of the American Indians, I am a concerned member of the American Indian community outside of Oklahoma. I am writing to affirm that 1866 treaties between the United States and the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw Creek, and Seminole nations should not be changed, furthering the continuance of paper genocide and removal of the contributions of the American ancestries and cultural rights. Passed down creates perpetual harm to our future generations. Changing established treaties is simply a dangerous precedent. The treaty should stand and therefore remain enforced as written. Furthermore, the actions and outcomes of hearing and effects and rights, legal statuses, ethnic identities, lineal histories, prisoners of war, and classifications of American Indians and tribal nations, freedom being classified as Africans in Oklahoma, is disingenuously disturbing to the American Indian community. Ooh. There we go. I asked the committee withdraw from this attempt to rewrite history of the living ancestors of the American Indian. This attempt will set the precedence of continuance of inaccuracies of American Indian to be echoed. I speak for myself and all other American Indians when I say we are here and our children's children are as well. Tammy Drayden. I support the American Indian as Moorish American Muslims.
So what y'all gonna do when you find out Moors are Indians and Indians are Moors? What's gonna happen? What we gonna do now? What we gonna do now?
American Indian. Let's see what we got. A lot of big names. Algonquin, Apache, Blackfoot, California tribes. Shout out to the Khalifa. Cherokee, Chickahominy, Chickasaw, Choctaw. Let's see, got a lot of big names in here. Cree, Creek, Crow, the Delawares, Eastern Tribe. I don't know, man. Iroquois. They got a lot of big names under here. Long Island. Let's see.
We talk about us over here, which is in league, in line with the Circle 7 Quran and what it says about in chapter 47, Egypt and the dominions of Africa. Remember, Africa is a Latin word. only ancient people that spoke Latin was us. The Romans adopted Latin from us and created a vulgar version called Vulgate Latin that they are speaking, which is not the original Latin. Therefore, we're the only ones that speak the original Latin. And Africa being a Latin word means we named that. So when they tell you about Scipio Africanus and these people probably never even existed the way we think they did. That's what I'm trying to say. Because everything is the language. So ask yourself, how are you an African country, but you spell your name, the name of your country in English? Well, how does that work? How are you a Spanish country, but the name of your country is written in English? Can anybody explain this? How are you a Russian country, but the word Russia is always is in English? They're always using it in English because that was the global language that was imposed by the British on our behalf. Why? Because in order to fight back against the falling of the strongholds globally, they took control of what was left of the British Empire, which was basically people by all Moors anyway, which I'll show and prove in a second. But here it is. The Aphrodites, to be Chaldeans, see, Chaldeans from ancient Amaru, which meant the people who lived from the west. And they spreading from Mauritania to India. From Mauritania to India. This is from the Congressional Record. 1854, the stupendous deserts between the Nuvos and the Bravos rivers and naturally boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races. So the Mauritanian races had ancient ancestry and connection or ownership of this land, which makes this part of the world Mauritania. That part that's called Mauritania or Mauritius today was done in the 70s. So what this is saying is that the Mauritanian races went from here all the way to India, what we call the Indus Harappa Valley today. So you see, it's what they're saying is that the culture went from here to there, not from there to here. Islam, you understand? Yes, but look when Mauritius was, look up right now. Somebody in class, look up the date that Mauritania was founded and look up when Mauritius was founded. I'm showing and proving based upon what the actual documentation is showing. Right? So from Mauritania to India, to whom ascribe astronomy and the zodiacs? What other society of more people deal with the zodiac but us? Yes. In ancient India was also called Mauryan because it was run by the Mauryan dynasty. This can be verified in the Global Geodetic Model Survey, but also in the book Solomon Grundy, when it talks about the expansion of the Moors. Here we go. Look at this. Mauritania was founded in 1958. Right? Thank you, Dan L. And then it says, yeah, Mauritania, November 28th, 1958. 1958. Look at that. When was Mauritius founded? You understand your grandmother's older than that? Your great grandmother older than that? Your great grandmother. So what was this before it was Mauritius then? What was it before 1958? Mauritius was founded in when? March 12th, 1968. Come on, man. It's a scam. It's a scam country. They created these countries to cover over everything that was here in the ancient world and took the names and flipped them over. Look, to India, to whom is ascribed astronomy, the Brahmins of India, the Ethiopians of Africa, the Chaldeans of Babylonia, the Phoenicians of Mauritania. Isn't there a Babylon, New York, on the exotic map? Ain't there Babylon, New York? Yes, it is, right? On the Atlantic side, right? Well, peep this. But in the light of the present work, where the mythology is allowed to correct misconceptions of antiquity, the quotations agree. These five races are all Atlantides. They acquire from their distinctive names and countries to which they migrate. But who are the Atlantides? They are the children of Atlas, who was the first king of who? Of the Moors, of Mauritania, right? in the Atlantic Isle. The Atlantides are also called the Oceanides, like Oceania. The Eritreans are mixed with Italians. The Ethiopians are mixed with Indians, Dravidian Indians. Not the light-skinned ones calling themselves Brahmin, but the real Dravidian Indians connected more to the Sentinelese, or what they call the Gerard, who are totally back to the land and kill anybody that come try to come and give them Christianity. Right? Look, so they're telling you that Mauritania was on the Atlantic side, meaning over here. It is true that Dio Seleucus makes Atlas the Egyptian king of Mauritania. Did you hear what we
Need to understand what you don't know and cross-reference this and see whether or not this checks out. If it's important to you. If it's only important doing your geology and trying to get recognized as being an Indian, then listen, I wish you 1,000 years of success. But right now, it's my time. I wish you 1,000 years of success out there. But right now, it's A1 time. Okay? Now look. Once again, okay? This is for all you non-believers. Oh, they came here and took over our land. They came here and did this. And they came here and did that. Let's read this again. America, known to the mystics as Atlantis, when this ruin befell, was the seat of the greatest empire that have ever existed, right? And its irresistible armies was terrorizing all of Europe and fucking Asia. Okay? Was terrorizing. Look, you want me to click? You want me to highlight this for you? Oh, this is about to get. I'm just breaking these terms down. We're gonna really get into it in a minute. Look, was terrorizing all of Europe and Asia. I thought Europe came over here and did what they did to us, right? But can we cross-reference this with any fucking thing else? Let me screenshot this shit real quick. Make sure I don't lose that part. Right? Look. Hit 1 if you believe you came from the greatest motherfucking empire that ever existed. Hit 2 if you think your people was weak and the Dutch and the Spanish and the Germans and all these people just came over here and set up fucking colonies on your fucking land without your permission. So 1, if you think this is the greatest empire that ever existed, press 2 if you think all these people just came here and did what the fuck they did. Are you part of one of the greatest empires that ever existed? Or are you motherfucking part of the motherfucker? The Dutch came here and did what they wanted to do to our people. These people came here and did what they wanted to do to our people. These people just came here and just took land and set up land. Nigga, we got the greatest empire in the fucking world. In the world. The greatest empire. So that means that we had to have empires other places. So my whole thing is, when we dealing with this terminology more, you have to know where you are at in that story. Even if you don't claim to be a Moor. You have to know where the Amaru Moru is at even in that motherfucking story. You have to understand that. Even if you don't fuck with Moors. Understand Moorish history is your history too. Understand that, right? Understand that.
Now let's take a look at this painting. These are copper-colored people of America, what we call Indians. Now, these don't look like your everyday promoted Indians. They're not wearing feathered headdresses. They look like turbans, bandanas, rad wraps. Look like the people who we would call Moors. Why are they hiding this? They put this in our face, and it looked like it's just been going over our heads, and we're not paying very close attention to details. This discussion that Moors wasn't in America, when Moors is in the name America. They once said, once they take their turbans and their sandals away, we will forget who we are and where we came from. I just want the people to take a good look at this, and you decide, what is this? As we look at another painting, these copper-colored people are dressed and not naked. They have on clothes, and they look like royalty. They don't look like your average chiefs. They look like a emperor, something more than a king. They told us that we was naked and that Indians were naked and had feather dresses, kilt, and feather headdresses. Don't look like that to me. They said the Moors and his Indian associates, which the Moor belongs to America. I just want the people to open their eyes and take a look that we wasn't naked over here. We did cover ourselves. Here we have another picture to observe. It looked like a Mayan, and this is my first time seeing Mayans with headdresses on like this. Now on the walls, you do see Mayans with turbans, head wraps, bandanas, and not feather headdresses, letting me know that America didn't just have feather headdresses. They wore turbans. And the only people that I know of that wear turbans are Negroes or Moors. So these pictures and paintings are opening our eyes. And it's been going over our heads for a long time. And nobody has pointed out the details. Well, I'm here today to point out these details of turbans, bandanas, and head wraps in America.
Let's talk about Moorish history in America. In this video, I'm going to be going over several documents trying to piece together many clues that prove that Moors were here prior to colonization. And the people we call Indians and Mexicans today are really Moors as well. Now, the first source I'm going to be coming from is the Congressional Globe on the annexation of Texas, which many people already know of. The stupendous deserts between the Nueces and the Bravo rivers are the natural boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races. There ends the Valley of the West. There Mexico begins. Thence, beyond the Bravo River, begin the Moorish people and their Indian associates to whom Mexico properly belonged. So right off the bat, let's break down two things that we just read. First thing is Mauritanian. So the first question you got to ask is, why is that representative using the term Mauritanian to describe the people over here, if Mauritania is supposedly a country in Africa? Now, when we look up the definition of Mauritania, it is the name of a modern nation and ancient kingdom of Northwest Africa. Also the name of a Roman province corresponding to parts of modern Morocco and Algeria. And when you see right here, it says the country of the Moori, which means the Moor. So it's the country of the Moors. Now, according to the first edition Encyclopedia of Islam, the land of the Moors is Mauritania. This name, which has been derived either from a Phoenician word Muharram, the Westerns, or with more probability from the name of a tribe living before the Christian era in North Africa, was applied in ancient times to northern Morocco and to the northwest of Algeria. And this is from the Oxford Encyclopedia of Islam. Speaking on the word Moor, its derivation from the Semitic etymon Muharram, people of the West, is questionable, and the Arabic Al-Mar is extremely rare and does not occur in Andalusi Arabic sources. Now, we just read two sources that says the word Moor has probable origins in the Semitic word Muharram, meaning people of the West. The reason that's so significant is because you have senators and members of House of Representatives on the floor of Congress describing people over here in the West as Mauritanian races. Which brings us to point number 2 that we need to break down, the fact that it says Mauritanian races. Races is plural. So let's check out the definition of American in this dictionary. Book reference. American, a noun, an aboriginal or one of the various copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the Europeans. The original application of the name. So even in that definition, you see that there's various types of copper-colored people. Going back to congressional records, and in this speech, this guy is saying that there's more Spanish inhabitants in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Missouri. And over here, he says Moorish, Spanish, Mexican, American. In his speech on the annexation of Texas, Mr. Ellis said this, In Mexico and Central America, the commingling of the Moorish, the Indian, and the African races of mankind are there preparing a condition of social, civil, and political equality, which will secure to them all the advantages and blessings which they are capable of enjoying. So if Muharram means people of the West, and this is the Western Hemisphere, wouldn't the Moors be the various copper-colored people found here?
Okay. Let's go and read this. Moorish hat, beautiful long. The term Moorish as here applied can be regarded as deceptive one as much as Montezuma, the king of Tenochtitlan in Mexico, is subsequently designated as a Moorish king in this same inventory in 1596. So right around the time we have Montezuma, who is related to Isabella Montezuma of Spain. And those people are related to the so-called Solomon understanding with these Jews. So as way back as 1596, we have Montezuma being referred to as the Moorish king. The evidence is overwhelming. So when we even dealing with these kingdoms outside of North America, they're still being referred to as Moorish with Moorish hat, as we can see, until they start altering the documents, which is intentional. So if they did it then, they're doing it now.
Montezuma really was associated with the tribes up here in America, which is not a shock, but it just shows how much.
They call Montezuma assaulting, bro. And I don't be wanting to say this shit, but this is they call this nigga assaulting.
Yep.
A fucking assaulting, bro. And I'm not making this shit up. They call Montezuma assaulting, nigga. They said they call him the Sultan of Al-Andalusia.
Damn. Shit. But also, if you think about it, his hat or his crown, I don't know, it's somewhere in the museum. I don't know, it's somewhere in the Museum of Europe. Somewhere. But they have different replicas of his crown, his big green feathered crown, which has like golden murals on it, and all that stuff. They call it the
Moorish headdress. And look, let's see if
the Moorish hat.
I forgot the author of this book, but it's called is it headdress or standard? I forgot the young lady's name or whatever. She goes into it when they said that they changed it. They changed it from, according to them, a Moorish headdress and changed it to an Indian headdress in 1620, bro. In 1620, bro. And I only believe that because they really wasn't running shit down there, bro. When you get the Mexican War, right? The Mexican Wars, the Europeans really took over shit. They weren't running nothing, even in Mexico, all the way until after the Mexican War. And they put a lot of them mestizos in charge. They put them in charge because a lot of them mestizos was also slaves too. That's why they put them in charge.
Yeah,
that's why they put them in charge.
This is my guess. Okay, when it comes down to when they say that the reason why we have a bunch of different looking people here in the Western Hemisphere, which is, I guess your modern day Mexicans or whatnot, in all sorts of Central America, South America, maybe the Caribbean. Of course, we already talked about where the conquistadors were Moors as well, that they weren't white or they weren't half-breeds. I believe they were full Moors. All of them Moors.
But remember, look.
Americans are not Indians. Part 7. You ready? Let's go. Book reference. America. From Amerigo Vespucci, a Florentine who pretended to have first discovered the Western continent. What? Hold up. Run that back. Amerigo Vespucci pretended to have first discovered the Western continent? Did we learn about that in school? No, sir. Uh-oh. Book reference. At the time of the founding of this country, America was called Al-Morican because it was part of the Moroccan Empire, known as Amexem. It was transliterated into America by the colonists, and eventually a story was made up that America was named after Amerigo Vespucci. Wow, this is getting good. We now realize that there was a significant motive to hide the history of what had transpired. Now watch this, book reference. American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, or copper color races found here by the Europeans. Pause. So the 1828 definition of an American originally applied to the Aboriginals, or various copper complexion peoples, found here by the Europeans, which means we was already here. Now hold that thought. Book reference. It is also important to note that the words Muslim, Saracen, Turk, Moor, Muslim, Phoenician, Olmec, Indian, Black, Ottoman, Arab, and others were used to identify Moors. Although words such as Indian and Black are derogatory. Somebody might say, I'm an American Indian, or I'm a Native American. So how is that derogatory? The name of a people must connect them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. Dr. John Henry Clark. Facts. So when you claim to be an Indian, you're in violation of law. Let me show you. United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, recognizing the urgent need to respect and promote the inherent rights of indigenous peoples, which derive from their political, especially their rights to their lands, territories, and resources. What? Lands, territories, and resources. So when you say you Indian, Black, African American, or a person of color, you abandon your birthrights and constitutional protection. What does abandon mean in law? Book reference. Abandon. To desert, surrender, forsake. To relinquish. Never again resuming one's right or interests. People have been tricked to claim dishonorable terms as if they were honorable. Book reference. What does a tribe mean? A group of persons, families, or clans believed to be descendant from a common ancestor. Did you hear that? A common ancestor. Consanguinity, kinship, blood relationship, descended from the same stock, or common ancestor. Inherit means to take by inheritance. Nationality corrects your political status, and your nationality is inherited to you by jus sanguinis, by bloodline, given to you by your mother. All tribes are under the nation, Morocco. Wait for part 8.
Okay, here it is right here. Now, before we go discover the woodland Indians, we see the Morican with the Pequotus and the Wapanus, and we know that's the Pequot and the Wampanoag. So all along, the Federation Fana knew about the Moricans, and they just went on and spelled it Mohicans. See, I just wanted to shine a light on that. You know, I want to shine a light on that. So now when we get up that Chattahoochee, going up Georgia, up to Tennessee, we see the type of people that was living on the Garden of Eden. I love this photo right here. You know, the so-called matriarch with the cap on, you know, because that's what the Native Americans was wearing back then. The Moricans. You know, the Moricans. Look at Morocco. You know, we got to put emphasis on that. And, you know, I'm going to continue to put emphasis on Mason meaning more, which is a slap in the face to anybody with a lick of intellect and comprehension. So whenever you see Freemason, it just means free Moors. That's all it means. So that means everybody is playing games with us. So let me go and look at something on what I think was out here. I'm gonna do that for y'all. I will do that research. But I do want to find this Maroke dude that's on the thumbnail. Let me do that first before I give y'all the civilization breakdown of the Southeast. And I'm not just going to give you no Indian. Okay, here it is right here. Quick. Now, to me, psychically, Tennessee, I know it probably had different names, but for the sake of understanding, Tennessee definitely would be like Tunisia, obviously, and Muurutania. That's how you really pronounce Mauritania, right? Muurutania, right? Carolina, to me, would be, like I said back in the day. I think I mentioned this. Carwayun. University of Carolina, which I believe Carolina is a fake cover-up of the American one. You see, Carolina is Carolinian. See, they got the Carolinian in theirs. Talking about a Berber language. Al Carolinian. You see the little building right there. You see, this is what I'm thinking Carolina really is. Caroline. You know, dealing with the Cruz dynasty, and they're just going to make up some shit, and they're going to say the Spanish came over here. You see, to cover up the fact that Caroline is the Qurayshi Mecca people, the big dog people, who is running around in Baghdad, Mexico, and, you know, Cuba, Veracruz, Hidalgo, Mexico, the big families who control these, you know, artifacts throughout North America and Central America. See, that's my vision for Carolina. What the other map? Like I said, Tennessee would be a Tunisia ancient family. Tunisia, they're going to say Tunica. Just like the Europeans said, they after the flood, they took the names from over here and put them over there. Right. Now, for Kentucky would be, to me, it would be Queen Candace. Right? Queen Candace. Right? The Candaces of Moreau. See, when you hearing that Candaces, you're not really hearing what they're telling you. You see that city of Meroe is where the Africans is even going to get their language from. These Hausa people, Swahili, all that Ole language to these people who we believe is the first wave of Americans before the Amazon became, you know, famous. But this is Kentucky. And you see that word right there. I'm going to blow it up. You see that Kentucky. Just like you got Tunisia and Tunica. So the ancient families are still in America who went to colonize Africa. You're seeing it right in America. So history know it's an African American, but the crazy thing about it is it's ancient to America. It's a big giant cover up that you can't even imagine. That can even equal up to genocide and suppressing history. But you can easily see that say Kentucky. Now we go back. Kentucky. Missouri to me would definitely be Mizraim. You know, it being off the Mississippi as well. That would be obvious. Right? Illinois, Indiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, all these names. The Khan, Mizraim, the Noahs, Louisiana, the Warrior. I mean, you know, it sounds Moorish to me. So, you know, that's just my conclusion. If that just quick breakdown itself, especially with Georgia and Wisconsin.
They couldn't speak Latin, which is our original language. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't own land. They couldn't vote. They were totally disenfranchised. And this is why the Moors commissioned Benjamin Bay, who you know as Benjamin Banneker, who is also Benjamin Franklin, by the way, okay, to teach these people the science of government. He did that for a select few. Unfortunately, it couldn't go and spread as widely as it should have been. Now we have a situation on our hands where we as Moors refuse to be who we are. In the civil rights movement, there were those who led it who were paid to get us off our square, and we agreed to be there. We agreed to be called black, and we're proud of it, remember? Now, who could tell us any different? Now, the Europeans have a dilemma because they've lied to us so much and we have forgotten so much that if they stand up to tell us the truth, would we believe them? The majority of the people who call themselves African American, right now, if you tell them they're not from Africa, they'll give you hell. Am I right? Yes, we are. Now, can you imagine you're getting that feedback from them. Can you imagine what they would say to a European who now try to tell them they're not from Africa? You understand? Now you've got Bill Gates who's given $1 billion to the United Negro College Fund, you know, to keep more Negroes out of their sovereign capacity, and they jump right into the boat, right? Play it up to the hilt. Oh, what a great thing he's done. You know, they love him to death. Now, if the Moors try to stand up and say who the man really is, you got all these black people who are going to criticize you. Leave the man alone, they'll say. All right? But we know the truth. So we correct the issue only by standing on our square, whether we're Moors or whether we're not.
Have you heard of the Moors? No? What if I told you that they are responsible for making Europe and America what they are today? Except they don't want you to know that. See, the Moors ruled most of the Iberian Peninsula for the 8th century, and they brought things like mathematics, sciences, architecture, agriculture, art, science, basically everything that we consider modern day Europe. But shh, that's supposed to be a secret. They are actually the ones that are responsible for bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and into the Renaissance. But again, you're not supposed to know that. Meanwhile, while the Christian Europe had an illiteracy rate of 99% and 0 universities and 0 libraries, Moors, they had 17 universities in 7 cities and over 70 libraries. And then they introduced their education system to Europe. There was a man called Zurgab. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he was a Moor, and he actually pioneered changing clothes based on the season. That's how dumb Europeans were at the time. They didn't even... What? He also invented deodorant, daily bathing, and invented toothpaste. Like, no wonder the Black Plague destroyed Europe. They were filthy. Zurgab also introduced a 3-course meal, soup, main course, dessert, and the Moors, they even introduced crops that are still prominent in Spain today. Moorish cities also had streetlights, hospitals, and running water. And streetlights and paved streets weren't even introduced in London and Paris for another couple hundred years. Moors are also the ones that built the aqueducts that brought running water from the mountains down to the cities, which gave Europe running water. The father of modern surgery was also a Moor, named Al-Zawrawi. Don't know if I'm saying that right either, I'm sorry. He developed innovative and precise surgical equipment and the premier textbook of Western medical training. Oh, and I bet you thought that the Wright brothers were the ones that are responsible for inventing flight. Nope. Furness, again, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but he was the first one to actually attempt flight scientifically, and he was actually successful. The only thing he wasn't successful on was the landing. And those are just a few of the ways that the Moorish people completely changed Europe. But again, they don't want you to know that.
Let's go and check this out. Race War of 1912 in Cuba. The Moor Law. Wow. What's going on? Need I say any more? I don't even, it just comes naturally. The research just comes naturally. It's like it's right there for you. The Moor Law. They got the Moor Law. Look, they even got the picture kicking the heads of the brothers. Kicking their heads. The Moor Law. See, you know, they're going to play the games up here in the U.S. but nothing is getting past me. We already know that. You know they're not gonna get past me. Let's go back. How you like that though about the Moor law? You know, the so-called Afro-Cubans getting, beat up for being Moors. It would not allow independents to run a candidate for president. The Moor law, come on, man, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go and find some more information. I've been wanting to research on this right here. The Navajo Legion and Joseph Smith and the Mormons tracking these pilgrim people. The so-called Black Pilgrim, Blackamoor. So, I might get into that. I've been said I wanted to get into the Mormon. But this is right here. The people who is attacking, they're going to go out here hunting for Moors and hunting Turks. Right here in America, these legions right here, it's called the Mormon Battalion. And they're mocking us, and, really reversing history. But anyway, let's go. Let's go and find something significant to remind people. Okay, here's another clue. We got the legend of the Khan and the Paracas. And remember this symbolism right here is found in other Muslim and Turk countries. Remember that. These same geoglyphs. So we do have the Khan in America. The understanding of the Khan. That's another little gem. Let's go. Okay, remember this. The Guardia Mora is probably deeper than we know, especially, knowing with San Francisco. I can just imagine the Mora Guard was protecting San Francisco. And Francisco Franco is just probably one of the lasting relatives of the great marriages of back in the day. The Guardia Mora. Just giving it out, giving the information out. Till we find something. Okay, let's go up in here right quick. Let's see what the people talking about in the chat. I don't want to lose you because, I'm going to prove a point before I end the video. I'm just warming you up. The Zagwe Kings, who I suspect is maybe the Western God and the Eden Kings, they went up in Ethiopia, breaking up, them people over there in the 11th and 12th centuries. And I always like to highlight, because I use the Bible geography maps when we dealing with this King Solomon and Queen of Sheba, the Ark of the Covenant. We must remember also, because I like to highlight Moor a lot. Moor and Moorish, Moorland, Muurutania, Moroccan, American. Right. Okay, let me see. Right here, it says it easy. You can see it. The Zagwe or Jaguar King, who was a so-called foreigner, is called the Moor. And remember, we have the Moor law in Cuba. He presented himself as the son of Murara, Muray, the king of Moors. And we know that we have Moors in the scriptural maps series right here. It's right here. We can easily go and find it. I don't have to keep proving my point, but to highlight it that we know, we can go right into what they're using, the Europeans, to verify that, these Moors do exist. And if the Bible was quoting this stuff, you better believe that they know it, especially with the fact that Mason mean more anyway. We already know they're tricking us because Mason mean more. Right here, let's zoom it in. Mohammedans, right here, the dice, people of Arabia and other Mohammedans own subjects as Segue, Negus, Abyssins, or Moors. So the Bible, the chief researchers on the Bible is telling you Moors exist. It's not a blacks. It's a particular people. It's not a blacks. That's a waste of time listening to petty researchers. Right? I'm showing you in a certain Murara was the Jaguar Kings. It's in here. It's in the book. Even the Negus. So it's nothing wrong with calling yourself niggas. It's nothing wrong with calling yourself niggas. It's a habit of yours. You just forgot to call yourself Moors. Right?
I'm Moorish American, brother. You who? I'm a Moorish American. Oh? I do your homework on Moorish, brother. I'm a Moorish American.
So anybody out there calling you black, calling you a Latino, a Native American, calling you an Indian, calling you a Hebrew, they the ones selling us out. Point blank period. Recognize the system. This is a whole system right here. And it stems off the caste system. You want to get out of that? You can. The ones that push the division is the ones in 24 and beyond that will be exposed. It's already on notice. Cause new Moors is here now. Nah, it ain't finna be no, now you know what, we gonna let fam and them slide. No sir, that shit dead.
Don't get mad at me, nigga. I'm here telling the truth. If somebody else should have told you this.
I'm Moorish American, brother.
This is what Revelation 13:7 said. They made war with us because we were the ones living throughout Europe as well as Africa. We were in Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, Netherlands. That was us. The castles that you see throughout the online and all, those were our castles. And this is evidence and proof that they came against us and fought against us. They made war against us. Can we get the wording? Can you see that, Yuri?
Yes, sir. I'll read the bottom one, 9 and 10.
Yes.
Wild men and Moors.
The word Moors means black. That's all it means. Hey, Yuri, real quick, let me show. They tell you that in the book of Micah.
Micah chapter 1, verse 1. The word of the Lord that came to Micah the Moorishite.
See that? Moorishite means black. The root word there, Moor, is black. This is where the terminology Moor comes from. But you never learned that in Sunday school. Let's go on back. That's all I wanted, Yuri. Give me the next picture. It's the Pucci family at the top. That's the Pucci family. Okay. You can see it at the top. It's Pucci. And it says bottom right. It says, if you give me that highlight, Elisha, bottom right. Bottom right. Bottom right. See the year? 1466. Y'all see that? And then top left. Go to top left. What's that year say? I can't see it too well.
1673.
1673.
1674.
Right. So the Poochie family, which were black men, you see them right there, were ruling. Okay. Then they don't want the CRT, get it out to school. Don't teach them nothing. You might inspire one or two of them. Give me the next image. Okay. As you see again, this is what the popes instituted. War against us. Get us out of Europe. Get us out of Spain. Get us out of Portugal. Get us out of France. Get us out of Germany. And the Crusaders and the various kings came against us and made war against us. Is there any writing lifted up? Let me see.
Charlemagne's siege of the town of Agen, defended by a black Saracen named Agalon. The emperor carries the shield with the eagle, and his horse's equipment is marked with the fleur-de-lis.
That's the lily. Fleur-de-lis is the lily. Go ahead.
On the enemy side, black soldiers, bando, and the shield with the lion's head or the six-pointed star.
Notice what it calls us, the enemy. In Esau's history, in Esau's story, we are always the enemy. We were always the villains. That's how they write us in their books.
Be consistent is an understatement. Thousands of years of history have been omitted from what we were taught. What makes you Jamaican? And what makes this island Jamaica? History is a weapon. And much of the history that we were fed in school is a fiction. But it was told to us in order to make us accept that England has a legitimate claim to own the island, fair and square. And that we are merely immigrants here, so we can't really challenge their ownership, can we? And that we are responsible for the debts that our government incurs. Christopher Columbus was not an explorer. There were no such people as Arawak Indians. There was no transatlantic slave trade. There's no such island as Jamaica. We were never given independence in 1962. We are not Jamaican. The government is not ours. They told you that this is what the Arawak look like. This is what they look like. These are the original Amaru Khans.
Texas. See how that works? Which is what? The Lone Star State. The only Moorish country with a lone star, right, is who? Look, you see how we just did that? It's Morocco, which is Grenada, which is Mauritania, which is Arabia. You see what I'm saying? Which is the dwelling place and owned by the Moors and the ancient Mauritanians, who were the Phoenicians and the Canaanites, right? And the ancient Indians, right? And their Indian associates, meaning the ones that came from across, not even the mestizos that we'll get to in a second that came after, not even them. We're talking about the descendants of the Moro, the Muru, who came by way of the Mauryan Chandragupta dynasty and came up by way of the Olmecs through the Pacific when it was all connected, right? Way before any blacks, noble or otherwise, came from Europa. That's why we could say we was always here. Because once you know that when they say the family of nations or the human families of the planet Earth, this is what they're talking about. The people who created the caste systems, right, who originally, again, were the Moors through Hammurabi, but that was for dealing with people who weren't of the original line or the original blood. This is how you deal with them. They were not considered human until they got wrestle control. That's why all the movies they make of them is being inhuman. Because it's their natural state. Not for all of them. Because remember, we also created races of them to fight against them. That's where the Italians come from. That's where the so-called Chinese today come from. That's where the so-called come from. Genghis and them created the Asians over there. The Moors of Spain and them created the Italians and the so-called Spanish and all that. Actually, it was a direct line. It was the Zambo. It was from the Moors to the Zambos. They was at the top. Then from the Zambos to the Chinos. Then from the Chinos to the Coolies. Then from the Coolies to the Chicanos. And then from the Coolies to the Mestizos. From the Mestizos to the Chicanos. And then from the Chicanos, you get the Los Indios, the ones who came over here, whose mothers was taken as Chinese women captives and sold to the Moors that was running the black clans and all of that at the time. And then they bred with them. And then this is where we get these Native Americans today. It's facts. That's why they all got East Asian DNA. If you from here, you would have more from here DNA than from somewhere else. So how are you from somewhere else claiming that you was here from 1,000 years ago? No, you got here in the 13th century as a slave to Genghis and the Tartary Moors that came with the invasion. And then the Moors from Mandi, who heard about it, came from Meru and all of that to hold us down because they was a part of the family through the Mansa. Remember Mansa Musa? That's when he got on the boat, made his cousin the regent, and came over here. Because he was a part of the Mansa, which was one of the families, right? The Mansa, the Mada, the Maga, and the Mandaga, right? The Mandis. That's why in roots, Kunta Kinte was Mandi, right? That's why in Amistad, Sing K, who was really Sing Bay in real life, when you really do the research, it was Sing Bay, he was also Mandi. Had nothing to do with being over there and over here. It was about who was down with each other during the expansion and then the fall. And then these Freemason dudes came in with their fake history and all of that to kind of put it all together so that way they could all get paid and keep us in the dark. We just went through the